All right, Bears fans, let's dive deep into the defense today because let's be honest, offense usually grabs all the headlines. Quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, scoring plays, that's what gets everyone buzzing, especially this offseason, which has been heavily tilted towards offensive moves. Bringing in Ben Johnson, an offensive-minded coach, adding Caleb Williams, reinforcing the offensive line, and drafting exciting offensive talents like Colston Loveland and Luther Birdley. All signs point to a focus on scoring and playmaking on that side of the ball. But here's the thing, the Bears have long been known as a defensive franchise. The defense has historically been their backbone, the identity of the team. Yet in recent seasons, that reputation has wavered a bit, especially after some shaky performances in critical moments. Last year, for example, the defense was more average than anything. The hype around the Bears' defense feels like it's been on a slow decline since the infamous Hail Mary game, and the struggles only intensified after the coaching change mid-season. When the team fired the defensive coordinator, things didn't improve much. If anything, the unit got worse. So it's time to look behind the scenes, peel back the layers, and really analyze what's going on with Chicago's defense heading into this new season. Starting with the cornerstone of the defense, you have to talk about Jaylen Johnson. He's undeniably the best player on that side of the ball right now. As a quarterback of the defense, or more precisely the top cornerback, Johnson has had a remarkable run over the past 3 years. His consistency and impact have been significant. And while he may have been a bit better in 2020 than in 2024, that dip doesn't overshadow his importance to the team. The defense as a whole slipped last year, and Johnson's performance mirrored some of that downturn. But with the new scheme under Dennis Allen, there's renewed optimism. Allen's plan is to run a more aggressive defense, one that relies heavily on press man coverage at the corner position. This style suits players like Johnson perfectly, demanding that they take risks, cover receivers tightly, and thrive even when isolated on an island. Not only does this fit Jaylen Johnson, but it also aligns well with what we expect from Tyrique Stevenson. Both corners are athletes who can excel in this man-of-E scheme, and that aggressive style should bring out the best in them. Ideally, you want your best defender to be a pass rusher or someone who can dominate the trenches. But for this team, Johnson's impact in the secondary makes him the clear top defensive player. The bigger question is who comes next after Johnson, who's the number 2 guy who can step up and carry the defense alongside him. If you rewind 2 years to just after the trade deadline, it was clear that the Bears had the defensive cornerstones: Jaylen Johnson and Montez Sweat. Sweat's ability to rush the passer was tremendous. In that year, he was a game changer, constantly pressuring quarterbacks and making plays that shifted momentum. Unfortunately, last season was a different story. Sweat didn't live up to expectations, partially because he was playing through a foot injury that hampered his explosiveness. That said, the Bears invested heavily in Sweat, handing him a big contract, $24 million per year, which means the expectations are sky high. No one expects him to be Nick Bosa or Max Crosby, but the Bears do need more than what they got from him in 2024. He ended up playing more like a low-end starter, which is fine for many players, but not for the money and the role he's supposed to fill. Sweat's value lies in being a dominant force on the defensive line, someone who can consistently get to the quarterback and set the edge against the run. The Bears paid him to be a double-digit sack player, a disruptive presence every down, and while he showed flashes of that, consistency was missing. Ideally, on a strong defensive line, he'd be the second best player behind an even stronger force. But right now, he's the guy who has to lead the line. Unfortunately, the defensive front has been underwhelming as a whole, lacking that consistent pressure and reliability. Hopefully, Sweat bounces back this season, because for the Bears defense to take a step forward, he needs to reclaim that role. Other candidates for the second best player spot on defense include KYLER Gordon, who earned a nice payday this offseason and plays the nickel position. Gordon is versatile, and with Dennis Allen's creativity, he might be deployed all over the field, sometimes in coverage, sometimes in the box, and occasionally roaming free safety. He isn't exactly a Tyrann Mathieu type, but he's a flexible piece who can do a bit of everything. And that kind of adaptability is valuable in Allen's aggressive defensive plans. Then there's linebacker TJ Edwards, a rock-solid player who consistently brings energy and effort. Though he probably shouldn't be the number 2 guy on the defense, TJ is reliable, but the Bears need more dominant talents in key roles. Tremaine Edmonds, another linebacker, was signed with high expectations, but through 2 years, he's been more average than dominant. Maybe a new scheme and system will unlock his potential, but it's not guaranteed. Grady Jarrett, veteran defensive lineman, is also part of the mix. At 32 years old, he's closer to the back end of his career, but he still brings quality play. However, he probably shouldn't be counted on as a premier defender either. When you look at the entire defensive roster, it's clear there are many good players, but how many great ones? Jaylen Johnson is great, though not quite Hall of Fame level, but definitely a top-tier corner. Sweat flashed greatness, but has been more good than great overall. Edwards is solid, Edmonds is average to good, and Jarrett is dependable. Beyond those names, players like Gervin Dexter and Shamar Turner, who is a rookie, have potential but remain unknown quantities. The big question is, with mostly good and few truly elite players, how high can this defense rise? A glaring issue appears at the edge rusher spot. The Bears seem to lack depth and impact there. Sweat is supposed to be the number 2 guy and maybe even the number 1 on the line. But if he's your top edge rusher, you need a strong rotation behind him. Right now, that depth looks thin. Other players like DeAndre Dingo, Austin Booker, Dominique Robinson, and Daniel Hardy have roles, but they are more depth pieces or developmental prospects rather than game-changing players. DeAndre Dingo can be a quality starter and has the physical tools, but it remains to be seen if he can take that next step. Austin Booker looks like a decent rotational player, while Robinson's impact has been limited. Hardy doesn't seem to fit perfectly into the scheme due to size and style. This leaves the Bears heavily reliant on Sweat to generate pressure, which is risky if he struggles with injuries or inconsistency. Comparing Sweat to a player like Max Crosby shows the gap. Crosby plays almost every snap and delivers dominant, relentless pressure week after week. Sweat's high-level production tends to come and go, and he doesn't play as many snaps as Crosby. Without a reliable partner or rotation, the Bears' edge rushing might remain a weak spot. Adding a proven pass rusher or finding a breakout player would significantly improve this defense. The idea of signing a free agent edge rusher remains a hot topic. Names like Darius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, Matt Judon, Von Miller, and Preston Smith come up because these veterans can bring experience, leadership, and consistent pressure. Smith's recent performance still shows he can produce double-digit sacks and win a high percentage of his pass rush snaps. Clowney brings run-stopping ability and flashes of pass-rushing dominance, while Judon and the others are proven commodities in this role. With the Bears needing help here, it's more than just a want. It's a real need. Looking at the linebacker cores beyond Edwards and Edmonds, the rookie Ruben Hippolyte stands out as a promising player who could carve out a role as the third linebacker. Hippolyte got meaningful reps in the spring when Edwards was sidelined with a minor injury and showed signs of development. The Bears see him as a versatile athlete who can cover blitz and play downhill, making him a potential multifaceted piece in this defense. If his instincts catch up to his physical traits, he might become a significant contributor. The third linebacker spot is crucial for the defense's flexibility, especially in nickel-heavy packages. Safety is another area of concern, but also potential stability provided the players stay healthy. Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard are the starting safeties, and when on the field are reliable and impactful. Brisker in particular has been a playmaker and brings physicality, coverage ability, and leadership. However, last year he missed a significant portion of the season with concussion issues, which raises concerns. Bears fans will be holding their breath anytime he makes a heavy hit because of his injury history. This spring, Brisker has been cautious, avoiding contact to ensure his long-term health. If he and Byard can stay on the field and perform at their best, the safety position should be a strength. Behind them, Jonathan Owens and Elijah Hicks are serviceable backups, but were exposed last season as the defense's weak link when injuries forced them into starting roles. They can hold down the fort short term, but asking them to start for extended periods is likely too much to expect. When it comes to X factors, who could take a leap and surprise this year, a few names come to mind. Tyreek Stevenson is the biggest wild card in the secondary aside from Brisker, who is more a health question than an on-field one.